Hey everybody, welcome to Arizona Drone. My name is Rich Charpentier.
And I'm Greg Reverdio.
And first off, we wanted to make a note. We crossed 100 subscribers recently. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're still a relatively new channel, and we really do appreciate folks popping in, commenting, and we're having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, and we love having all the discussions with you guys. I think we've grown this channel actually to 100 pretty quickly, which is kind of exciting. So it tells us that you are interested in what we're saying, which is the reason why we're doing more of these. We don't understand it, but...
Well, no, we all know.
No.
We're all looking for more drone information, whether it's a hobby or becoming a job for us and for you. Things are ever evolving in the drone industry right now, and we need more places where we can talk about what's going on.
Yep.
As drone pilots.
Absolutely. And actually that kind of brings us to the topic of today, because we have Part 107 people watching us and we have hobbyists watching us, and kind of wanted to do a little segment on the difference between 107 airspace regulation and hobbyist regulation. And go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, it's a little different for hobbyists. Last year, before I finally grabbed my 107, I was looking at some of the authorization tools, or at least showing me if I'm legal or not. And one of the things that I did before I got the 107 was I just didn't bother flying the Granite Dells because, you know, that's my backyard. It's a beautiful location, but under 5 miles from the airport. And at the time, we were supposed to call, ATC. I tried putting in a couple calls, and I always got the city of Prescott voicemail. So I just went ahead and avoided that, even though I know as a hobbyist, I could do some flying in there with checking in with ATC.
And one of the big difference between the hobbyist and the Part 107 is the airspace approval. And as you may know, Part 107 operators have to apply on the website. It's changed a little bit now because of the LANC approval. So you can either go in an app and request approval to fly in specific airspace if they have LANC rolled out, which the FAA is still running this out until the end of the year, or they can submit through the FAA website, which takes a pretty long time, long process, as we've painfully gone through. That's for Part 107. For hobbyists, the only time that you have to call an airport is if you're flying within 5 miles. So you have to go in the documentation from the FAA or go on the website, find a phone number, call the tower and tell them what you're going to be doing, and then get approval. Actually, people say you don't even need to get approval. You just tell them what you're going to be doing. I like to look at it as it's their airspace. They should be giving you approval, but that's a different note. And then you can go fly. So 2 different processes, and like Rich said, it doesn't always work because sometimes the tower doesn't answer and you don't really know what to do. Well, yeah. Technically, based on the documentation, if they don't answer, then you did your due diligence and you try to call them, and then you can go ahead and fly. Just be careful with other traffic.
For instance, one of the things, a 107 pilot versus a hobbyist pilot. So 107 pilots know flying over people, we've got to get a waiver, and that's just nearly impossible for most of us right now. The same rule applies for hobbyists. Flying over people is a no-no, you know, so hobbyists don't even participate in the waiver process, but so there's a similarity between 107 and hobbyists.
Yeah, don't fly over people. That's a common ground. There's 2 other things that are important because they're different between 107 and hobbyist. It's flying at night and the altitude at which you can fly. So flying at night is allowed for hobbyists. Flying at night for Part 107 requires a special waiver and special equipment. Now, when you fly as a hobbyist at night, you should still have lights on it so it can be identified, so it can be seen. You should always maintain line of sight, all these good things that happen also during the day. Be careful flying at night, okay? Be careful flying at night. Everything is different flying at night. Your vision is different. There's a lot of physiological changes to your body flying at night, and it's a lot more difficult than you think. You don't have that depth of field. You don't know how far objects are really located at night. So be very careful flying at night. And then you want to talk about the altitude one?
Oh, the altitude's 400 max for hobbyists, right?
No, actually, there is no limit. That's actually a misconception with a lot of people. There is no limit for hobbyists. And that's kind of a scary one. It's not that we recommend that you fly over 400, but it is technically legal for hobbyists to fly over 400 feet. Should you do it? Again, there's rules and then there's common sense. Should you do it? No, you shouldn't. Because remember, aircraft can go as low as, and that's fixed wing aircraft, can go as low as 500 feet and even lower if it's over an area that doesn't have any people. Helicopters can fly at any altitude, and that's at anywhere really. So it could be a danger. If you're going to be flying over 400 feet, it's all risk to you. You're flying with other people that are flying at 60, 70 miles an hour, all the way to a lot faster than that. So do you want to be messing with that? Just be careful.
So one of the things we were wondering for all the folks that are viewing us now, since we crossed that 100, would you guys be interested in a longer course on flying as a hobbyist versus flying Part 107? We were talking this morning about the fact that maybe we should put together a little longer course to help out hobbyists, because right now the majority of people who are flying drones are hobbyists and not 107 pilots. And then the second question is, if we were to put something like that together, how do we reach out to those hobbyists? Because a lot of them right now, they go to Best Buy, they grab a drone, and they've got it up in the air, and they really don't know all of the rules behind their hobby flights.
Yeah. And I think that's doing a disservice to our industry, and hence the reason for wanting to do a course. I spent a lot of time this year creating the course for Part 107 operators, because I saw a lot of people that were licensed going online and asking questions that they should know the answer to because they passed the test. Now, we all know that passing the test doesn't really make you a qualified pilot, but so there was a lag somewhere. So I created this very lengthy course that helps you with getting licensed, and I think there is more information in there than the bare minimum to pass the test. And then out of that course, I actually created a Airspace for Part 107 course, where it teaches you how to read the airspace and how to read the charts, because those are the two biggest things that people have a hard time with, and also created a course for weather, because that's another thing that people have issues with. So out of that big course, there's two little courses, but we've been talking with Rich about creating something for hobbyists. Your first drone, you could call it Droning 101 if you want, where you talk about, hey, this is the drone, these are all the different parts, what should you inspect before each flight, and talk about the basic regulation about airspace, things like we just said, talking about what are you going to do on your first flight? What kind of control should you be using? How should you be practicing? Should you be flying miles away? Talk about VLOS, visual line of sight. Talk about basic photography. We've got an expert photographer here. Talk about basic videography. So basically everything you need to know, so you can watch this course before you even get your drone out of the box. And so when the drone gets home from Amazon, then you can just open the box and then you know what you're going to be doing.
Okay. So bottom line, we're wondering, and we really do want your input, everybody who's been signing up here. What would you like to see? Do you think that that would be of value in intro for hobbyists and some other intros? So on this post today, we're really asking you, drop the comments. We appreciate them. Even some of the comments that we might not fully agree with, it's good to have debate. We see it all over Facebook and everywhere else. So we totally appreciate everything we've heard from all of you guys. And so if you've got some ideas of what you'd like to see on here, like some extended classes, let us know. We'll do it. We don't have all the time in the world, but we usually get down here at least once a week for a couple hours. So you send those comments in, and we'll see what we can do about putting these things together.